In a time when no weather apps existed and no one looked to the skies for scientific signs, ancient villagers turned to something far more alive: sheep. These weren't ordinary livestock. In forgotten valleys and forest-lined clearings, sheep were treated as weather prophets. Symbols of warmth, survival, and sacred rhythm. The elders watched closely, not the clouds, not the wind, but the sheep. When these animals began to move restlessly, shaking off their wool or gathering tightly under certain trees, it was a signal. Rain was coming, but how did they know? The answer lay not in myth, but in instinct. The sheep's thick wool responded to shifts in moisture long before the first drop fell. It thickened, curled, and tightened as the air changed. Villagers noticed that before every storm, sheep behaved differently, eating less, making low calls, walking differently. Patterns emerged. These people didn't dismiss it. They listened. This is part 3 of our series, How Everything Began. And in this episode, we'll explore how one community found solace and survival in the silent language of sheep. Now, let's return to our tale. But there's more. As rain approached and the village prepared, they also turned to the sheep for something beyond survival clothing that wasn't just for covering the body, but for holding memory. They believed wool from a sheep that had predicted the rain held special power. The wool was sheared, washed in river herbs, and dyed with plants that bloomed only during rainfall. These coats were not merely garments. They were called rockkill, which meant pathkeepers. Each one was passed down like a story. Stitched into the coats were symbols of storms survived, crops saved, and prayers answered. When the first buds of spring appeared, children wore small versions of these pathkeeper coats during seasonal ceremonies. These gatherings weren't just celebrations. They were moments of remembrance, where every laugh and song echoed with the knowledge that somewhere a sheep was watching the skies. Warriors wore these coats as they ventured into the forests, not for battle, but to gather resources or to be remembered by the trees. Even newborns were wrapped in sacred wool during naming rituals. As the child's name was spoken, elders would tuck in the coat, believing the sheep's memory would guide them through life. These pathkeeper coats were more than just clothing. They were talismans of trust, each thread a testament to the bond between humans and nature. In a world where science often overshadows intuition, these ancient practices serve as a reminder of a time when the wisdom of the natural world was not just respected, but revered. If you're enjoying this series and want to support us in bringing these stories to life, consider supporting us. Your support allows us to continue weaving tales that connect us to our roots. One tale still lingers. A storm came too early. The clouds hadn't formed. No wind howled. But one sheep, old and quiet, began digging near a willow tree, refusing to move. The villagers took it as a warning. Within hours, rain came, heavy and sudden. Crops were saved because of that silent signal. The sheep was never seen the same way again. Its wool became the heart of a new coat, one that would be worn only during funerals and births, a symbol of trust between humans and instinct. As the seasons painted the landscape with vibrant hues, the village thrived. Not just because they had food or shelter, but because they understood the heartbeat of nature. When the leaves whispered secrets to the wind, they listened. When the sheep sought shelter under the watchful gaze of ancient trees, they followed. But as centuries rolled on and villages grew, some forgot these lessons. Grandparents passed away, their tales lost in the rustle of turning pages. Children, busy learning numbers and letters, stopped noticing the patterns of nature. The sky, once full of stories, became just a backdrop to their lives, and the sheep, once revered as prophets, were seen merely as livestock. However, in the hush of a single night, when a raging storm threatened their homes, they remembered. A young girl, peering out of her window, saw not chaos, but hope. She saw a lone sheep seeking refuge beneath a gnarled oak tree, its wool standing tall against the wind. She raced to the village elder, a woman whose eyes held the wisdom of countless seasons. Together, they led the villagers to the hills, to the very oak tree that sheltered the sheep. There, nestled amidst the trees, they built their new homes, aligning them with the stars and the whispers of the wind. They honored the sheep, not just in their homes, but in their daily lives. Every decision they made, from planting seeds to harvesting crops, was guided by the rhythms of nature. They celebrated the changing seasons, understanding that each phase, like the cycles of life, had its own beauty and purpose. The girl who had seen the sheep in the storm grew up to be the village leader. Known for her wisdom and resilience, she ensured that the lessons of the past were woven into the fabric of their future. Now, if you find yourself drawn to stories like this, where the wisdom of the past meets the wonders of nature, then we have a special invitation for you. At the end of this series, we'll be sharing an exclusive tale that delves deeper into the origins of these beliefs. It's a story that will take you on a journey to a time when the boundaries between the spiritual and natural were beautifully blurred. This final episode will be available only to our supporters. Why are we doing this? Because stories like these deserve a space where they can unfold without constraints. And with your support, we can create that space. It's a way to keep these ancient narratives alive and ensure that they reach those who appreciate their timeless wisdom. Plus, your support helps us research and write even more captivating stories about the fascinating history of mankind. It's a simple way to be a part of our mission to bring you the most captivating stories about humanity's rich history. Now, if this resonates with you, if you feel a connection to these timeless tales and want to be a part of our journey, we invite you to join us on a platform. You'll get access to exclusive content, early access to our episodes, ad-free, and the satisfaction of knowing you're helping us keep these traditions alive. It's just $2 a month, less than the price of a cup of coffee. But the value? Oh, the value will be immeasurable. So are you ready to embark on this incredible journey with us? Click the link below. Let's keep the stories alive together. As the years turned into decades, and decades into centuries, the people's bond with the land deepened. Their homes were no longer just shelters. They were sanctuaries echoing with the whispers of generations past. Theirs became a legacy, a testament to the profound connection between humans and nature. Their story serves as a gentle reminder in today's world, a world often dominated by concrete and steel, that our roots lie in the soil, nourished by the wisdom of the natural world.